Good morning, students. How are you all doing? All right, a nice Monday. Yeah, should be a new start to the week. Looking forward to a brighter week ahead. So many things in store must be for you people. Don't worry, lockdown is still there, but we can do so many things. You, as student, have so much to do. So let's come to the conclusion of the chapter. We have already completed one full whole chapter, the French Revolution of class 9, the first chapter. So today is the day to rebrush and then come to the NCERT question answers and some relevant points. So I hear Shamishta Ghosh of the Millennium School, Lucknow, gives you the key points, key notes of the chapter, and we will see just how we can conclude the chapter in a nutshell with all the topics covered. But before we start, we need to pray, we need to thank people around the Almighty God for a beautiful day ahead and a beautiful life ahead. So just close your eyes for a minute. Thank Him. Thank everybody. Thank your parents. I think even your teachers who are always there beside you and care for you. Yeah, here we go. That's it. Such a wonderful start. Wonderful. All right, so let's start. So I am right now, as we have already completed the chapter, you know everything about the chapter, but I'll take every point one by one at a glance. So this is chapter at a glance. So you should be quick. This notes, this even the chapter at a glance can be a real help for you, those who want to just brush up the things and want to know the key things. So your whole chapter has been divided into this 6 major part. So we first talked about the 18th century society, then the outbreak, then the abolishes the monarchy and becomes a republic, then the women, and then the evolution of slavery, and lastly the impact, or you can say the revolution in the everyday life, how it impacted everybody around. So if we take the society, so it was Louis, we have concentrated on Louis 16 only, because from this time only the French Revolution actually took the gear up, right? So he was, when he took over, there was debts, he was putting taxes, the feudal system was on. Then the setup of the society was divided into first estate, second and third estate. Then there was a lot of other problems that was going around in France. Population was increasing, demand and supply was very poor, the weather was not good, drought or hail was there, wages not at par. Then there was subsistence crisis that you can relate to your demand and supply. So this whole key points come in your question number 1 of your NCERT book, and the third estate come in your question number 2. So the page here denotes a lot of importance about the French Revolution, the starting point, what actually can be the causes, you can say. So now we come to a very important topic, again the middle class. There is always a question of 3 marks on this privileged middle class suddenly coming up and showing their strength. So you should be very clear about this middle class, and this middle class came from your third estate that I've already told you in depth in your notes. So notes are of course for the reference. Now let's move on. We see the outbreak, how it happened. So I have categorized it. See, the first impact was how the estate general, they wanted to meet and they met. The king called him, the third estate were moved out in that whole meeting. So on 20th June they met again in tennis court. 14th July there was a rampage at the fort of Bastille. That is actually the starting of the French Revolution, 14 July, a very, very important date. Then ultimately, 14th of August, the National Assembly was formed and the king said, okay. Then we move on. So it's year-wise, chronological. You should see this. 1791, it completed its drafting of the constitution and it gave it to France. But there were many points in the constitution which is good, which were bad for some. So it actually divided the people into active and the passive citizens. It's a very, very important point here, because there is a question related in NCERT to the women. So women were in the passive citizens. Fine. So then comes your Declaration of the Rights. The monarchy was abolished. There comes a point when he was told to go or move out, and France became a republic under the leadership of Maximilien Robespierre. Very important personality. A small note can come on him. All right. So of course there is many related incident like Reign of Terror that we are going to take up. So that is of course there. So few things, very interesting things which can come just in one-liners. He took up the idea of the long striped trousers. He said that the rich and the privileged wear the breeches, but we will not wear that. So wanted to show this is Shan-Culottes. So who actually followed this striped trousers, and they were known as sans cloths. So please remember this word. This can come in your one word. Then comes your red cap that they used to wear. That's again a very important note that Maximilian gave it to the French people, who were basically the people of your third estate. So this can be some key points about him. Then you can take up again the timeline. Goes on, move on. So it's Jacobean insertions. They were started attacking the nobles and the clergies. Finally, on 10th of August, there was this Palace of Tuileries was stormed. 21st September, convention was formed. So now the people coming together and forming a convention, forming their own assembly. And on 21st January 1793, Louis was sentenced. And later on, after a few days, Maria was also, and they were executed, publicly executed. So this comes to one chapter end of the king and the time, how it all went on, how it was divided. Now we come to Reign of Terror. This is a timing when after his death, who takes over? Robespierre. What was his laws? You should learn that. Then in July, again in 1794, he was executed. Fine. So this again comes to one end. So this comes to one end. Here again, one of the timeline comes to an end. 1793 to 94. Just 1 year, of course. But impact was immense. Then again comes another part of the history in France, that there was nobody to rule properly. So their two forms were formed. They kept on fighting. There were a lot of clash. Seeing this chance, who took over? Napoleon Bonaparte in 1804. Again, a new story, new version of history starts in your France. So these two questions related in question number 6 of your NCERT. So when we talk about Napoleon, let's talk about Napoleon here. In very shorts I've written, he was known as a liberator. He gave some new concepts of weights and measures, and he crowned himself as a king. And 1815, in the Battle of Waterloo, he was defeated. So the reign carried on for quite long years of 11 years. So moving from 1793, so Jacobean abolished slavery. We're taking up this point of slavery now. Then comes 1804, the Napoleon reintroduced slavery. 1848, slavery was finally abolished. See the 10 years and 44 years. Finally, 1848, it was all abolished. Why we are talking about slavery? A very important topic here. All the key related topic is done in your notes, but here you should be very clear about this triangular labor system: Europe, Africa, and America. What is their relevance? This question can come. You know, like Africa, they were taking the labors, they were porting them to America, and who were those people? The people were Europeans. Why they were not taking the Europeans? Because they were not interested to go to America anymore to work, and so they have no alternative. So now what was the second chance? Second chance, the European went to African coast, picked up the people, named them as slaves, shackled them, and brought them to America. So this is a very important, again a very short 3 marks question can be. So very shortage of your labor. So that whole thing is being given in your notes. You can just take up those points and write in this. Then we are talking about the Napoleon, as I already told you how he took over, what was his laws. Any question comes about him, you need to write all this. Then impact of the French Revolution. These are the main key points I've given you here. A question is mostly asked about the impact. So it actually created in history that 1789 abolition censorship, old regime was gone. No monarchy. It created in history in itself. Then Declaration of the Rights of the Man and Citizen. Nobody bothered about the rights. Freedom of speech, expressions, they all started coming up. So this is forms of media show the path of expression. The newspapers were read, pamphlets, books, philosophers. Here a very important point, philosophers. So freedom of press was given. That became a vocal point, that impacted, of course, the French Revolution. When you start reading, when you start learning, you become like knowledgeable, right? So they were now knowledgeable. Then the idea of justice and liberty, which nobody ever talked. The monarchy never talked about this. And they talked. And it came out. And the people were given that much of justice and liberty. So question number 3 of your NCERT talks about your justice and liberty. So you're going to relate this, expand this as given in your notes. Then your feudal system was abolished, which is again related to your abolition of censorship. Then this idea was of course adopted by many of the countries, and basically a very good example has been given here about Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Tipu Sultan. So if a question is there is a question number 3 in your NCERT book. So if it's a direct question, so you are going to take up these 2 points. And okay, so we come to the most important point now, the discussion of the question answers of your NCERT book. Now I have already given you every topic. I've talked about, I've discussed about every topic. So the important thing that are given in the whole chapter is here. So all the important terms first that you have already started doing, you've already done, or I think so. Then comes your source A. There's blocks made here in your book. You can just have a look at them. You already know I've shared the PDF, been sharing the PDF. Please do accordingly. Source A activity, page number 7. You have to do that. Source B, page number 11. Jean Paul Marat. So you have to write about him. Source C, page number 11. Again, declaration. Very, very important. Then on page number 13, there are some symbols made. 6-7 symbols you will see. They are very important part of your French Revolution, and you should know specifically about each and every symbol. At least if you don't, out of that you can pick up 3 or 4, which I've already told you once to do it that way, and you can just explain. Source D, 16, liberty. Source E, page 19, revolutionary woman, and it talks about Olympe de Gauss, and I've already given you IP last week about her. Then come your question number 1. It talks about your causes. What were your causes? Here I have given you 5 main points, but you need to explain. This is not the full answer. I've just taken up the key points for your help, and then do it. So you're going to put up your political cause, economic or social cause. Sorry, I've repeated this. So social cause also in this. So here it's privilege based on the birth. This was one of the criteria. War was one of the criteria. Subsistence crisis, growing of the middle class. So this all impact led to your French Revolution. Then comes your question number 2, which were most benefited third estate. Question number 3, I've already talked to you on the page number 4 of the notes. The point is there about your justice and liberty. Then we come to question number 4. It talks about the rights. In the notes I've explained it very nicely, the rights. So equality, freedom of speech and expression, freedom from exploitation, right to constitutional decision. These are all our democratic rights which we in India also have taken up in the constitution. Many of the world countries have in many part of the world, many countries have taken up these rights in their constitution, and all of them follow democratic form of government. Then come to question number 5, universal rights. It talks, so here you have to actually answer in such a way which will be the way where you're going to explain that how good was your this universal right at that time in 1791. Was it really reliable? So the answer should be like, it was very good. It was taken up by everybody. But again, it differentiated with the active and passive citizens. No rights were given to the women. No voting rights even to the slaves. So you need to pick up this point. Then question number 6 is just an exploration, so you can do that. So this is the 6 questions that are part of your NCERT. Do it very nicely, and all the questions should be in your copy. Complete it in all the way, and this activities also very important activities. Okay, so wrapping up, naturally you have done this map already, but again, just to tell you that if you have not done, please do it. It's a part of your IP. It was your the first IP. So again, you can just see if you have not done it, do it. Nantes, Bordeaux, Lyon and Marseille. So this is your France map. So here we come to an end of the very important chapter of your class 9th French Revolution. It showcased that so much about the world history and the starting of the word revolution and how the world followed after France. That is the key point, that is the key point, that why we have to take up the French Revolution in such a spirit that it gave us all the idea of democracy, justice, liberty, fraternity. Well said. Okay, so we wrap up. Thank you for your work that you're giving me. Wonderful. So next week we are going to take up with Russian Revolution, a new chapter, a very interesting chapter again. So if you get time, just go through, explore. This IP is I'm going to put in the IP section, your homework section of your Flip Learn, as well as in your Google. So please do it there. Simultaneously submit me in Google because I'm checking it there. Just check up your IP from here. Then please complete all the IPs that's been there for all this month with the complete work. It should be submitted to me now by every student, and likewise I'll just give you the report that who is given, who is not given. Thank you so much, children. It's been lovely talking to you, and interacting in this way. And please go through all the video, my notes again, and complete your question answers. Have lovely day ahead. Take care of yourself. Be very good. Thank you so much.